Hey, this is Palmonia Gordon with Shift. We're continuing the series with Mr. Dom Brightmon all the way from Baltimore, Washington, teaching us how to start a podcast, how to run a podcast, and the little tips that we can do that would make us effective as a podcaster.
Help this customer ahead of time by just asking questions and
Mm.
just seeking out to be with others. And I did the same with my upcoming book, Stay the Course, because it's like I'm interviewing all these folks and the opportunity to be able to connect with these folks. Like, you know what? I want to try to get a piece of this pie too, because this is the era where if it can be done, you might as well try to do it in a good way anyway, because if all these folks can become best-selling authors, heck, why not me? Why not the man with the chocolate voice anyway? Let's get the chocolate on the
Come on, give us that voice. Let me hear Tigger. Where's Tigger?
Yeah, woohoo!
I
Yeah,
was actually looking up what podcast and why, because between 2017 and 2018, it rose like 24% in popularity. And as you said, it's kind of like the lazy people radio. But one of the things when I looked it up, it says it's friction in a frictionless world, meaning in order for anything to happen in life, it's only when we oppose or study that which we don't like that we actually maybe experience some sort of growth, right?
right.
And it's, in order to make fire, you got to have friction. In order for a baby to happen, a man and a woman has to make friction, so friction is
Yeah.
needed, right? And also it's about storytelling. The four point is friction, storytelling, and an invitation to a community, because I know your community is focused specific for authors. Why did you choose author? I know you said it's to promote your book. So once you started that, why didn't you have a wide variation? You just kept it only authors.
Yeah, funny enough, I chose Office because it was a book I read by Derek Sivers. He was the owner of CD Baby. He wrote a small pocket-sized book called Anything You Want.
Mm.
And his book was talking about how when he started off with his website, a lot of other just big-time musicians and that the publishing companies wanted them to sell their music on his site because he was one of the only websites back then in the late 90s, early millennium selling CDs. But the premise of it was he wanted to fight back against the big publishing companies, the music publishing companies, and just have only independent artists sell their music on his site because that was something he wanted to do. It was just for him at first to just sell his music out there. And by accident, he never realized what good thing he had. All these musicians just came up to him and selling his stuff. So for that, I just went ahead and decided, you know what? Let me find a niche and stick with it. Because even though it's about interviewing authors,
Mm-hmm.
I also, there's like a loophole in it where it's like if you have a podcast and you have me on your show, I'll even return the favor and have an interview you on the show as well. Because at the end of the day, there may be a time down the road where you may use your book as a lead generating tool as well. So yeah, so mostly authors because that book it realized, hey, let me find a niche and stick with it. Because the bigger you can niche down into something is a better way to connect with others. Because I mean, yeah, I can interview everybody, anybody and everybody, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, might as well have some kind of continuity. And also, my first ever interview promoting my book, the interviewer kept cutting me off mid-sentence from interviews as well. So I was like, you know what? I don't want that to be the same experience for someone else. So let me have a platform to at least get folks started being able to get their feet wet with being interviewed. So that way they can get their voices out there and it'll give them the confidence to keep going out there and promoting their work because I'm pretty sure you know yourself. You can write the book and publish it, but now you got to sell the darn thing. It's like you got to sell the book.
Exactly.
So
That's when the work begins.
yeah, that was the main reason. It's like, hey, authors gonna need all the help they get. I'm pretty sure there's other podcasts out there that interview authors and all the other stuff. I mean, sure, I could branch out with it, but that's just the main thing right now is to just interview authors, especially those who are self-published. give them a platform for their voice to be heard, to get their feet wet being interviewed, and to get their voices out there. And the end game now is to have at least 1,000 different authors interviewed on the show. I'm about 150 in so far, so we'll see how far it's going to go.
Congratulations. It's a slight edge because you start, I think you're at 100. How long have you been podcasting now? You're at 150?
Yeah, 150 uploads now, and it's been doing it since September 2017.
Okay,
There's
so,
only going to, yeah.
and you are doing it on a part-time basis. So we need to make that clear
Oh,
that
yeah.
this is not a full-time thing. You have a full-time job,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Librarian.
we have, that's worth celebrating, you know. Who is the biggest author that, you know, you've had on your podcast? And then after, I'm going to ask you to just kind of lay out maybe do's and don'ts, or, you know, give us why we should just jump in feet first. But who is the biggest author you've ever, beside me, of course?
Oh, yeah, one of the favorites, too. Let's see, the biggest guest, the one that immediately popped into my head was the celebrity business advisor known as Antonio T. Smith Jr. He is a multimillionaire business advisor to Les Brown and his company. He was certified under Les Brown, and he's actually going to be running for president in 2020. He's out in Galveston, Texas, and he has this amazing story how he basically was actually living on his own since 7 years old, and he was homeless because his parents put him up for adoption, and he had this powerful story of how he was basically eating out of trash cans, and he had nothing. He basically had to eat out of trash cans. He had to remember all the stuff out of textbooks because he couldn't afford to buy textbooks, and just remember and make sure he kept his memory sharp. And funny enough, even though he had that rough upbringing up in Texas and he had to remember everything and live in trash cans and eat out of them, that gave him an edge later in life because he was able to learn multiple languages, become a multimillionaire, and sell all these books. And the fact that just a big name like him, being able to reach down to someone like me to be interviewed was a huge thing because he said it himself. He used to be homeless, but now he's a millionaire, and he was actually listed on the Forbes Coaches Council, and there's only 101 names on that list, and he's on that list, and he's doing all these things, and he's a real humble dude. He's also a pastor. Well, his pastorship is actually coming to a close soon, but he's actually was a pastor too, so he's a fellow Christian, a fellow millennial. He's still in his 30s.
Oh, wow.
And he was able to do all of that, and he's a good father and a multimillionaire, and he's running for president of all things. So it's like that has probably been the biggest guest and one of my favorites because it's one of the greatest things in the world, that not letting all the success you have go to your head and then just looking down at others, just being able to come down and actually look out for the fellow man, and in a way with his campaign motto, looking out for the 97% as opposed to the top 3%.
Awesome. And how did he find you? How did he connect with you? Oh.
Yeah, so he was on Steve Olsher's show, one of his podcasts. I forgot what it was called. It was where he was interview those who are, oh, I remember now. It was Beyond Six Figures, those who made $1 million plus, basically interviewing them, millionaires and multimillionaires and billionaires, and seeing what makes them tick. And that list that Steve Olsher came up with, I was listed alongside him with others, and his PR rep, the wonderful Deanna, just went and mentioned it out in an email to me, and I was like, what? Really? I clicked on the Facebook page, and then 300,000 plus likes and all this other stuff. This inspirational dude has a Goalcast video, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, send him the link. He schedules it, and then in the morning, I'm like, all right, there's a part of me that was a little what's the word I'm looking for? A little superstitious or something. I was like, all right, let's see what happens. And lo and behold, it was actually him. It was the guy. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, yeah, that's our podcasting, especially a guest style interview, because, yeah, can reach out to you. The internet is a big, small world. It's
Yes.
big and small at the same time. You get to connect with people, and when you're on a mission, folks are gonna grab onto that mission. They might even bulldog grip that mission if you're passionate like yourself and just stick with what you're doing.
Absolutely. And, just listening to you and that connection, what we are doing, podcasting, YouTube, being able to serve, would you agree with me that it helps to remove that line of separation, as you will, because now you're saying, oh my God, six-figure guy able to talk to me, or little guy here from Baltimore. Ooh, really? I mean, you're like. Please remember, leave us a comment, subscribe, like, and share the information. But most of all, like the second hand on the clock, keep taking those 60 tiny moves that you can come back tomorrow. God bless you. We love you.